Oh, yeah, I should mention too, I do the intro for everything after.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
always say that it's like kind of singing happy birthday to the guests.
Oh
And then I
yeah.
get nervous, what we were just talking about, like getting nervous. So we just dive in and then I do all that in post.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I like that.
So, Addie, my first question for you is I want to go all the way back before you were this rock star business person. Were there any qualities you had as a kid that now you can see are aligned with being an entrepreneur, especially in the fitness and fashion space? Like, did you sketch anything as a kid? Did you have a lemonade stand or nothing?
Yeah, just to break that down, I guess. So just sort of the sports, fashion, everything. I would say as far as sports goes, I played tons of different sports. So I was always a team player. I am still a team player. I think you learn so many lessons with playing sports that you can carry on forward through life. So very fortunate to be able to play those. And then the fashion side of things, all of my friends and family know I am such a shopper. So I always have been. I'm a major consumer, very particular too. Watching for those details and making sure things feel good and fit my body. So I've always kind of had that in me. And then as far as the entrepreneurial side, I wouldn't say there was too many qualities I had as a kid. I was raised very traditional parents, had the very traditional job. And I was always raised that you go to work and you work really hard and you be kind and you'll be rewarded for that. You get your paycheck and that's kind of, your job. Um, so for me, stepping into this entrepreneurial space is very new for me. And I often mention I feel very crazy, but yeah, it's just, I'm so excited to see where it can take me.
Well, I'm excited too. I love that your mission of Ripe is that we're all like different shapes, colors, sizes. It's really inclusive. I want to
Yeah.
break that down a little bit for anyone who's not familiar with Ripe Active, kind of the mission, like the inspiration behind it. And then it sounds like there was a bit of a connection. You, as a consumer, were really particular about how things fit on your body. But can you tell us, did that then relate into the creation of your own brand?
Yeah, I really do think so. As you mentioned, our big main pillar is that we are our own version of Ripe. So shape, size, and color, you're all welcome here. I just think that's so important. It makes the world a better place. It really does, right? Just having that inclusivity, making sure that everyone can be represented. And I Yeah, like you said, I was very particular on what I like to buy and what I like to wear, just to make sure it feels good on my body. Again, helping that world go around. I just think when we feel so good leaving our house, we have that confidence behind us. I just think that's how we can, change the world a little bit.
I love that. Was
Yeah.
there a moment growing up playing sports? Did you see other people at all struggle finding things to wear? Or was there this moment that you identified the need of this athletic wear that really encompassed everyone? I think in 2022, it's finally starting to be more of the norm. But when you're thinking of an idea and actually getting samples of things, I don't think it was. I think you're a real trailblazer in that. But was there
Um,
anything, again, growing up or from personal experience that really led you to feel like you need to do this, you need to produce this product?
yeah, really appreciate that. I think I would say kind of like bringing those all in together. So the perfection, we kind of say the perfection and the versatility. So with our products, I want it to be having that perfection because we're spending our hard earned money on these pieces. So I want to make sure that you feel like you're buying that quality product. And then also having that versatility. So making our money, how are we going to make our money go further? I'm always thinking when I am buying something, I'm like, okay, is this the best bang for my buck in the sense of versatility? Can I wear it up, like dress it up, dress it down, all those sorts of things. So I would say that's kind of from my past, not necessarily something while playing sports that I didn't see, but just kind of to bring it all together, right? So just having those outfits and those pieces that you can, wear to your workout class or wear shopping. My favorite thing.
Me too. Honestly, I think the perfect day is you start off with a workout class with some girlfriends, you go get a cute lunch moment, get some coffee, and then you go shopping. And
Yes,
I could
right.
do that on repeat every single day, Groundhog Day, and I would be so happy.
So happy. You're right. And feeling so confident while doing it, right?
Exactly, that's
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
When this wasn't a prep question, so feel free to pass. But when in the early days when you're getting started, how do you even start that process? I have another question about the catalyst, the courage to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when do you start that process? Is it going and shopping and seeing what you like in your own clothes, in your own wardrobe, asking your friends? Like, how do you get the ball rolling of getting fine tuned what you like and what you want to see?
Yeah. I think that's absolutely how it kind of started, right? Is sort of knowing exactly like I'm a big winners girl, and
Me
like
too.
I have no problem. I know some people are like, no, I ain't digging through those racks, but I have no problem going through. And I've always kind of nailed it down to like the exact. Well, get this brand and this brand. Their quality is great, and it's a great price, and so I've always kind of watched for that. So I think that's kind of where it sort of started, and I started building that list of. Building the list of things that I look for and then sort of building it from there, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And then to build on this, this was a prep question,
Yeah.
but this is something I'm always so curious about personally, and it's kind of a self indulgent question. But how do you find the courage to take your idea? I'm sure you have some friends and family saying, yes, go for it, but actually pursue it and take the next step, whether it's a financial investment, whether it's meeting someone who's going to be a producer or a business partner or something in that world. Was there a moment or was it a lot of tiny one step at a time?
It was so many little things. And I think it just took me that time to build up the confidence and the courage to do it. It was actually my very supportive partner. He just said, just do it. Like, what is the harm? Be smart about it to have a minimal risk. But I'm just a pretty competitive person too. I once ran a marathon for $100. So it's like if somebody tells me I can't do something,
Oh, wait,
I'm
can we
gonna do
just
it.
pause? Like, if someone
Oh
told me, like, oh, like, eat this thing of like ice cream or something that's out of the norm, I'd be like, yeah, for $100, I'll do that. For America, you need to train. Can we
no.
break
Yeah,
this down a little bit?
yeah,
This is a side note, but were
yeah.
you already training for something, or were you able to just do it?
No. So like that's the thing. I'm like my rates are much higher now. This was a long time ago and I didn't realize how much training goes into running a half marathon. So I'm like, yeah, like the amount of hours I had to put in to train to run that half marathon, but I'm just a very determined person. So when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to follow through. So I think that's kind of where this came with this. It was just sort of the challenge, and I kept talking about it and wanting to do it. So I finally was like, you know what, I'm determined. I'm going to do it, and I'm just going to learn as I go.
That's a superpower too, though, because you can do all the prep in the world. And even in school, I specialize in entrepreneurship, and it's this really fine balance of doing all the market research, making sure that you have enough of a product to get out and get feedback. But then you also need this like naivety or just kind of fuck it attitude
Yeah,
to
yeah,
actually do it. And I
yeah.
think
You're
that's where the
sweet.
courage plays in. And I want to go a little bit deeper with you. And you were saying it's a lot of little steps, but
Yeah,
do you have any tips? I think it's easy, and I'm speaking from my own experience, to start off with the branding of what do you want the logo to be? What do you want the colors to be? But then I feel like the rest gets a bit murky. Do you have any tips or strategies that helped you actually progress your brand forward?
um,
Yeah, not to put you on the spot. That's a
no,
big
no, no.
question.
It is a really great question, but I think when I was in it, I think and I still always say I feel so crazy doing this. I think you almost are just in a little bit of disbelief on what you're doing, right? And it's just
Hmm.
taking those little baby steps. Like I remember sketching, my logo forever, like playing with all these different things and how do you sort of bring in the play on of fruit being ripe with, we're all our
Right.
own version of ripe. So shape, size, and color, the same as fruit. So honestly, I'm like, I want to have like this great profound tip, but I think it's if it just kind of keep working at it, like keep building all those little things, right? Because that big picture is going to shine through. It is all going to come together, and that's how I've been doing this entire business is just learning myself, right? And just fingers crossed it comes together.
Well, it definitely has. And I think there's beauty in that too, because a lot of times, as a consumer, as someone who's wanting to build a brand or a product, you see the final versions of things, or you see a catchy LinkedIn post, and it seems like everything has a plan and everything fits together, but that's so not the reality. So to hear you say that you're figuring out and you're going and you're taking one step at a time, like that's actually how you build a business and progress forward. It might not be, we would all love if there was like, yeah, here's step one, here's step two, step three,
Mhm.
and then you have a business. But hearing, no, you just have to like take it in stride and see the journey along the way. And I think as long as you're progressing forward a little bit every day, you'll
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's really important. Like I've definitely seen so many people because I live on social media, of course, and seeing so many
Mm-hmm.
different people trying to sell, I'll get your business up and running and you'll get to this many sales. And I did try to just turn my eye to those a little bit because you're right, like everybody does just have a different platform. And I'm sure, there probably is kind of those steps, but it's never going to be the way it's not going to be your way, right? And you're not going to have your personal touch on it if you're following a book, I guess. So
No, totally.
yeah.
How do you're so busy, I can imagine being a founder and a CEO and also just active and wanting a personal life on top of everything else. Before we started recording, we talked a little bit how we can both kind of work ourselves up or before a big event or big launch, get a little bit nervous. But how do
Mhm.
you, when you're feeling overwhelmed, bring yourself back down and bring yourself able to focus on the task at hand or even be able to be in the moment and enjoy and celebrate something?
Yeah. I'm like, there's so many parts to that. I would
Yeah.
say, yeah, just to kind of break it down a little bit, I guess I could kind of give you a little bit of details on myself, just so I don't build this image that I can absolutely do it all. Because I did struggle just this year. I was working a very demanding sales job Monday to Friday. And, that was my number one priority. I started Rype on the side. So that was my main focus. I've always been very loyal to my employer and I owed that to them. So I felt like Rype was going on the back burner.
Mhm.
And, it made me very stressed and anxious with so many scenarios. It does play into your personal life because you just feel so overwhelmed. So I did actually I knew these feelings were all pointing me in that direction of where I wanted to go. And I knew that was taking Rype on and being able to grow it. So I did take a step back. So that's a very big, drastic way. I did take a step back from my full time day job just to step into Rype. So that's certainly something that made me less overwhelmed as an overall. But in those small moments, I think again, it just kind of comes to that, I guess I would say the confidence piece to it. So just knowing that, you can be in, that is a very tough question. Like you can be in all these spaces, but you're right, to be fully present in everything that you're doing. And I think eliminating this, something's got to give at some point. And for me, that
Mhm.
was definitely my full-time sales job. So just being able to focus and spend more time in all of those areas. I'm like, I don't have one big magic tip though. I think we're all a little bit struggling with this one. But I think the main thing that I focus on is when I am struggling and feeling overwhelmed to get all those things in. Those are just all things that are really important to me. So just trying my hardest to make the time for them.
No, that's refreshing. And that's something I struggle with too. And I even took a break. I recently have switched jobs and I took a bit of a break in between because I knew I really needed that time. But
Amazing. Yeah.
sometimes I find it's hard because then when your to do list gets so long or when you know your own potential or something, it can be just like anxiety inducing and just freezing.
Mm-hmm.
And are there things like going for a walk or little micro things that help kind of get out of that funk or back into a rhythm of something, or even just sending out an email, like really micro things that kind of help throughout the day?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is making that task list because I think it
Hmm.
feels so good when you mark them off. It almost gives you like that boost, like, yeah, keep going, keep going. But walks are a huge one for me. I always call them my grandma walks, and I go out every single day. As I mentioned earlier when we were chatting, just moved back to Victoria. So, just getting out to the water, I just think I feel so fortunate to be able to do that. So that's something that certainly grounds me and brings those anxiety levels down because in the big picture of things, I just like to say, um, it's always hard, but I like to kind of ground myself in saying there's so many worse things in life.
Hmm.
I don't think it's fair to kind of diminish how we're feeling in those moments, but in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, some of those anxiety triggers for us are really little, right?
Totally. My
Yeah.
new favorite saying is we live on a rock. Like,
Ah,
if someone asks you something, it's like, it doesn't matter. We live on a rock. I don't know
yeah.
if that's like me and my coworker, we've adopted the sloth girl summer. We're fully embracing it.
That's
And no matter what
awesome.
happens, we live on a rock. So I don't know if that's comforting to everyone listening or if that
Mhm.
just makes things a lot worse. I hope it's comforting. But I think
Yeah.
it's so true that we all go through these things. And as much as we want to have everything all the time,
Yeah.
like you were saying earlier, something does have to give.
Hmm.
And I think being aware of what something you actually can give up or can give yourself some space on is really huge. And also having a support system. It sounds like you have a really great support system that also is reassuring, but can give you the space to make sure that you're getting taken care of as well.
Absolutely. That's a huge one. Like as much as I like to say I'm like a strong independent woman, I think having that support system is so big. And there's so many different people that can be that for you, right? But
Mhm.
that's definitely a huge piece.
I want to ask you about your take on social media because I always think it's interesting when someone has a brand because
Yeah.
then it's a huge tool for yourself and the brand in getting out there. But I think it also can feed into this whole anxiety, to do list, comparison check. So, again,
Yeah.
this wasn't a prep question, but I'm just really
No. Okay.
curious talking to you. What's your take? Like, do you ever get overwhelmed on anxiety or do you look at it as just a tool for your business?
I am like generally a very anxious, like type A kind of person, judgmental to myself always.
Hmm.
So I do think social media can be extremely tough for that. Absolutely. I do a lot of, I would say, self development. So just kind of listening to different podcasts that have mentioned, just stay in your lane, focus on you. And I've just tried to make that apparent on my page in the sense that like I try to not watch how many views things gets and how many likes
Hmm.
I'm getting to just keep going. And, I don't post every single day, as they mentioned, post every single day. This is how you're going to grow. But I just am trying to do what feels good to me and still feels genuine. And I'm showing up for, the people following the page. So yeah, it's a dance for sure. Absolutely. Social media is such a beast that I even think that I don't fully understand.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm just trying to roll with it, as I think most people are, right?
Oh,
And that's what I try to
definitely.
tell myself too. I'm like, you know what? My neighbor probably doesn't know either. So
Yeah.
it brings me back to that rock we were talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's so true that we all are kind of it's new to everyone. Like I
Yeah.
don't think anyone really has it figured out and those who have like just taken off, a lot of times it's fluke and by chance that they just enjoyed what they were doing and other
Mhm.
people also enjoyed it and then it caught on. But I'm
Yeah.
always curious asking about that because it's something that's so prevalent and having any type of brand, whether it's in clothing, you're representing yourself with the podcast, you need to be present. But then it's also, I find myself posting about things to kind of get us off social media or affirmations
Yeah.
that might be cause. It's this weird dance. So thank you for
Yeah.
answering honestly and just having your
Yeah.
take on it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all just dancing out there,
Yeah.
just trying to figure it out, right?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I want to ask about the beginning stages. I want to go back a bit with Ripe Active. It can be hard, especially as a woman in business, to get taken seriously. And I think women specifically get it. And I think as a generation, we're getting better. But pitching your idea to, I don't know what your process has been like for funding and with stakeholders or just getting people to buy in and support you. But as this inclusive fitness and apparel brand, do you have any tips for women specifically or minority groups out there when they're trying to be heard and get the support of people who maybe have a more linear way of thinking, who kind of run the business they're in?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I love this question because it's something that's taken me so much work to kind of get to where I'm at now.
Mhm.
But like such a hot topic I would say is to know your worth, right? And I'm just sometimes I'm like, but if you don't know your worth, like how are you supposed to like it just kind of seems like this vicious cycle of not necessarily knowing your worth. How are you going to get there? But my biggest thing that I've learned from my past, I worked in a predominantly older male industry, and I was coming in as a young female and trying to prove myself. And the biggest thing for me was just to own my space. So to have that confidence, like you all deserve that space, and just own it. If it's your space and it's your topic, your industry, you're the one who's going to know the most about it. So just have that confidence that you know what you're talking about, and you deserve the space.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
With confidence, do you have any specific tips? That's also something that
Yeah.
I'm personally working
Yeah.
on. And the biggest tip I can give to myself and to everyone listening is fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But do you have anything or like breathing techniques, something that's helped you? Or has it been, again, this process and evolution?
Yeah, I think so. Again, from past experience, honestly, I owe so much. Like, I may not have always absolutely loved the career I was in, but it taught me so much. So I used to have to give presentations, and that was always a fear of mine when I was younger and in school. I never wanted to do that. So I think just the more and more you do things that absolutely terrify you, and
Yeah.
your heart is racing and in your throat, you're just going to get better and better. So just I know how scary and how hard it is to get to that point, but just keep going. Like you said, we are faking it till we make it. And I keep telling myself, so is my neighbor. So,
Yep.
yeah, whether they're not at all, I'm just telling myself that they're in the same boat as me. And that helps me get through.
I'm going to adopt that one too
Yeah.
anytime
Yeah.
I'm freaking out. And it always, whenever I've had like a meltdown crying to my parents about being uncomfortable, I've
Hmm.
always been so glad that I stuck it out, whether it's moving somewhere or taking on a new job or just whatever is going on with
Yeah.
my life. It's really good to get outside your comfort zone. It's just obviously overwhelming and a bit anxiety inducing, but it's a good place to be.
Yeah, majorly. And I just think, again, I don't love to compare, but I do in the sense of like others are going through it too.
Yeah.
So I find comfort in that we're all in this together in that way.
No, I do as well. I relate to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go into a little bit of your morning routine. It looks like you also, if anyone hasn't listened to the episode with Caroline, are you part of that 5 a.m., 6 a.m. insane workout club?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. I'm a part of it.
You
I
guys
passed my
kill
probation.
it. Yeah. You're killing it all the
Yeah.
time, but how do you set yourself up for success? How do you make sure you show up for yourself and do those workouts? And then how do the workouts itself, is that part of what makes your day successful? Or do you have a bedtime routine, like a skin routine? Let's
Yeah.
get into that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing I'll start with is I am such a routine girl, like through and through, have been forever. First thing you wake up, make your bed. So I know it's kind of the eye roll and the classic routine girl, but yeah, just making my bed, morning skincare routine. I drink the same thing every day, a mixture of greens, protein, and vitamins. So I just think there's so much craziness during our days. So it's kind
Hmm.
of grounding for me when I know that there's these two pillars at the beginning and the end of the day, the exact same thing I do every day. It keeps me grounded.
Hmm.
Because even those days that I don't have the workouts, I feel a little bit thrown off. Like I feel a little bit like, oh, there's a little bit something extra I should be doing, but we all deserve rest. And so I try to take that, of course. But yeah, I love routine. But I know it's not for everybody, but it's certainly for me.
Yeah, no, it's for me too. Everyone
Yeah.
listening right now that knows me personally is probably laughing because
Yeah.
when I'm off my routine, I like look for a routine in that off.
In
Like I
something.
need
Yeah.
something that I can also count on. And if I don't start my morning off with either going to like Pilates or yoga, it doesn't matter how great the rest of the day was, same thing. I feel like something's missing. Like I didn't start how I should have. And I'm working
Yeah.
on that too, but it's
Yeah.
important to find what works for you.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to
The
know
balance.
what vitamins are a must for you. That's part of your morning routine.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, I have so many.
Same.
I know my family makes fun of me when we're on vacation. They're like, why do you drink that green swamp mix? But I would just say it is a mixture. Skin was something that I really struggled with, and also was a very big trigger for me when I am experiencing stress. I wear
Hmm.
it. So that was, yeah, I knew kind of I was getting to a bad place when I was trying to be in too many places at once, and just having too much going on at once. But yeah, so I do take different supplements as far as like balancing certain things out. And then it's honestly, I'm like, this sounds so lame. I'm like, people aren't going to want to hear this, but it's like your classic fish oils and magnesium, um, your vitamin C's, just your basics, really.
I'm like frothing at the mouth though. Like
Yeah.
I'm about to go away. When this episode goes up, I'll already be back, but to visit my best friends in Saskatchewan, and the only thing I've packed is my vitamins.
That's
Like that's
awesome.
it so far. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's maybe we're living that grandma sloth girl summer life, but it's on brand for us and we're
it
feeling
is.
good about it. We
Yeah.
want to hear about it.
Right? I honestly have this little floral vitamin case. So if I ever go traveling, I'm like, yep, I've got everything in here. It's classic grandma move. Yeah.
No, but see you say that I'm like, where's the swipe up? Like I
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah. Winners. Remember I was telling you about winners?
Oh,
That's where I found it.
I gotta get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before I let you go, Addie, thank you again
Yes.
so much for coming on the podcast. I like to ask all my guests, what is one product, one TV show, book, anything that you're loving and you want to recommend to all the listeners?
Yeah. Well, I love listening to your podcast. So I
Thank
have been
you.
hearing people's answers to this. And I just thought I'd do something a little bit different. And I thought I would go with a tip instead of a product or a show.
Ooh.
But lately, what I've been doing, and it's honestly just made such a positive impact in my life. As I was mentioning, I did have some career struggles and making decision struggles. So for me, the days can be so long and hard. And for me, what I was doing was romanticizing the little things. So I know some people kind of roll their eyes on that, but I heard it at a podcast and it just really stuck with me. So, whether that's having your morning coffee or going on a different walking route and you're seeing different things, having a phone call with a friend. I just try to romanticize those things and it just really does help drown out the heart. So I just wanted to share that as a tip.
I love that. I think that changes your whole perspective on a day and it brings an
Mhm.
essence of gratitude into everything you're doing too. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, so important.
I love that. And before you go, where can everyone find you and find Ripe active?
Yes. So you can find us on Instagram, of course. So Ripe Active, and that's the same for Facebook. And then our website, so www.ripeactive.com. So yeah, I'd love absolutely for everybody to check it out or come say hi in messages. On Saturdays, I've been running a shop visit Saturday. Yeah, we can ask any questions, and I always do a flash giveaway every Saturday. So maybe you can win a gift card.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You're welcome back anytime.
Amazing. I love it. So great to meet you.
You too.
Okay, thanks.